Hello everyone, welcome back. I wanted to share some really cool things that my wife and I found a while back, and I just haven't had a chance to share, but I found some other things to kind of go with it. Thought I might as well share it now so you guys can look into it, especially if you are a super genius that is bilingual and can speak English and Italian. You would be of great assistance, and not that this is some urgent issue, but it's just very intriguing. And it has to do with this map that most of you have seen by now. A lot of people have been looking into this. I believe Rob Skiba did a video about this a while back and got people looking at it. And it's at a website where you can zoom way in and read all the little words written on there. But if you don't speak Italian, and I'm assuming this version of Italian is old enough to where the language has changed a little bit since then. So kind of like what Shakespeare sounds like to us that speak English. And it'd be great if someone could translate what it's saying and maybe copy it into the description or do a video about it. I'd really like to figure it all out. But that's not the only cool thing we found when looking into this. But what that map said, from what we could type into Google, it's hard to really read those words. They're written in somewhat cursive mixed with print. It's just weird the way they chose to write it. But it's understandable when you type it into Google and it gives you a little definition. Some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. So I apologize. I am not bilingual. I speak one language. I'm lazy. I tried to learn Spanish in high school and college. Never really succeeded. 3 years in college, and I cannot have a conversation in Spanish very easily. I can read it a little. That's about it. But one thing it said here, and I'm not going to read everything, just kind of the interesting parts, because if you've never seen this map before, this explorer mapped out the entire known world. And when he did, he showed us some really cool things. And you can actually zoom in on some of the outer borders. And his map is a little bit more accurate than I thought. When I saw this the first time, I thought, well, it's not that accurate. But I'm going to show you some maps from the 1940s that they made, some more azimuthal equidistant maps. Not the famous one that you've all seen, the Gleason one, but some different ones that were coming out a little bit after that famous Gleason map, and they're almost exactly like it. So I'll do some comparisons as well. But it says here, and I'm not surprised by this, that these people, and he's talking about the other countries of the East, these peoples worship the devil, as they say, because and the first creature descended from heaven. I would really like this to be interpreted, translated into a way that makes sense, because that really has got me intrigued as to what he's talking about, and I would like to know. So it says, there are in this provincia many Christians and also cities of Christians in which the RS of Jesuit fathers have residence. So they're talking about devil worshipping and Jesuits in the same area, as well as Christians. And it says there are seminary and other congregations of fathers who always follow gentlemen of the Holy Catholic faith, who visit you in the name of the Master of King Philip, as hereditary of the crown of Portugallo. And then, of course, here are some things that we could not figure out, and the trajectory of spices in those peoples, which then led them from there. So, after reading that, and looking again at some of these pictures, I noticed some really common figures throughout this map. You have a Baphomet looking figure here in these little bitty demon creatures, whatever they are, and dragons. But these little creatures here are everywhere. But you have one of them talking to a Baphomet. Looks just like the one in the statue here. Horns not quite as long. But what it says is, in these deserts, there are traces of one spirit, which in a dwarf sends them into them to make them perish and be lost. So talking about spirits, someone who's a world traveler, not a fiction writer, not someone who's writing books of fiction. He is charting the things that he sees. And there's a desert where there are allegedly traces of one spirit. And I think it was probably trying to say which is a dwarf. and maybe it goes into people to make them perish and to be lost. Very interesting, especially since he's documenting it, being in these different places, along with what we now see and relate to Church of Satan and all of those who worship the evil one. So very weird, this guy who is compiling a rather accurate map of the world is also talking about demonic powers. And then when you look at the edge of his map, there's always this navy border with stars, similar to the firmament above us with stars in it. Wonder why, because I first thought, well, the American flag, but this was back in the 1500s. The American flag didn't come out until like 1700s, 1777, I think, somewhere around there. You can also see the four winds blowing over the earth, just like the ones mentioned in the Bible. Lots of interesting stuff here to read about the things that you copy from this. So nothing really interesting here. Just another thing about the dwarves. I really don't know if it had to do with the spirits. But you can see little creatures here. Maybe he's making some of these up. Maybe he's not. I don't know. A lot has been erased of our history. But I'm going to leave some of these links in the description for you to find. I was going through some of the maps on that David Rumsey website. There are thousands of them, if not tens of thousands, to sort through. This is one of the best collections of maps I've ever seen. And here is the age-old New Standard Map of the world that's been passed around on the internet the last several years. But I came across some new ones that I had never seen. Here is one from the 1940s. And it looks an awful lot like this one. There's really not much of a difference. These were used for airplanes to fly around or above the earth. That's what these were used for. These were azimuthal equidistant maps. I found some more, and one thing I kept noticing was Australia was a lot bigger than the United States. Here it is again, kind of zoomed out. And yet another one, all of these used for the same purpose, and that is the flying of planes. So it's quite interesting that they are all azimuthal equidistant maps. They all look like the Gleason map. And when I was looking at this one, I noticed that it looked a whole lot like this one. Nearly a copy and paste. Look how much alike these things look. 400 years apart. I think there's something to this. The only difference is the older map shows a little something in the middle of our world. I don't know what that is, but it shows something there. Pretty sure he didn't just go around that part of the world and just not explore it. I'm pretty sure if he's exploring everything, like it appears that he did, because he knows the names of cities, states, little locations in America even that I wouldn't have thought were there back in those days. Florida, Cuba, Mexico. It's like he was naming all these places back then that looked just like, almost like they do today. Just different names, of course, because they're in another language. But I kept finding these exact same types of maps. Here's Air France. Another similar map. These are the more artistic. These were definitely not for measuring out the exact distances of flight, but really cool maps nonetheless. And they give us something else to look at and compare our Gleason map to, that we've all referenced and looked at as an accurate map of the earth from above, or the dry land and the water and the seas and everything, if we were to be able to get past the firmament and look down from that height. That's about what it would look like And it's, again, these are equidistant azimuthal maps so that you could use these for plane flight and get to where you're going just fine. Just like NASA says over a non-rotating Earth, that's their words, not mine, when they are factoring in for plane flight, it is assumed that it's taking place over a non-rotating Earth. So if you were to go from here to here, as if throwing a ball across a merry-go-round, and they would go in a curved path, or seem to go in a curved path, you would just land wherever you go on this map. Anywhere on this map you can go, any runway, any direction you can land, as long as you have a good pilot, of course. So don't know why it's so far-fetched to think that Earth is stationary when documents from NASA say that all of their flight is taking place over what they can just go ahead and assume is not rotating and is flat. They said it, not me. It's a quote from them. So don't know why it's so crazy to think that it could be. Why is it so far-fetched? No experiment has ever proven that Earth is moving, and we have been in quest of finding proof of curvature for the last several years, and although we sometimes think we find it, it goes away, or we find situations where there is over 100 miles of missing curve, and it makes us really dig deeper, find more answers. And if you disagree about the shape of the Earth, no big deal. Okay, don't let that divide us. There's enough division out there. Love everybody. We love you guys, no matter what shape you think it is. Concave, round, donut shape. We love all of you. And the Father loves you. You just need to seek His truth. Don't be getting overconfident. Stay humble. Know that we don't have all the answers. But I would keep going and to talk about a lot more cool things. I will very soon do some more videos, but I am steadily becoming more busy as we are trying to finish our house. Been working about 16 hours or so each day from sun up to sundown, and been very overwhelmed with the amount of work as we try to finish before the old wrestling season starts and I have to start coaching again. But working really hard. The office is almost done, and the crazy thing about that is we had planned on finishing it after the house was built. However, when we were out of the country, they did that for us. And it's probably for the best, because the Father wants us to get to work sooner rather than later and have a great place to work and do live hangouts and fellowship. And so, although it is costing us a lot more money to do it this way, we are excited to have it. So I thank each and every one of you for your prayers and support. This is one of those things that we definitely believe will be the best investment we've ever made in terms of what will grow from this. So if you would like to support us in any way, we think now is the best time because it is definitely going to be put to good use, and things are going to get a lot better as soon as we get done with that. I know I am at a busy time in life right now, but I also want to reach out and say thank you to all of you who lifted us up in prayers. As I said that my heart was heavy about last week, and it has made a major difference. You guys didn't get into personal details or anything like that, but definitely going to have a testimony very soon about our mother and other miracles that have happened. And I thank you guys for keeping us in your prayers and just sending a lot of love our way, because we definitely needed it. And as I said in my community post, I feel that me and probably many of you experience the same thing, where we really cry out and reach out to the Father at a time of need, and He's there. But it would be nice if I could spend the time with Him, and if we all could, when it's not that time of need, when we're in desperation, when we're hurting, when our heart just feels like it's about to fall out of our chest, and then of course we hit our knees. It's time to really send Him the love and respect He deserves. He's listening to us. He's uniting us. He's waking us up. He's sending so many people in the right direction. He's using all of you, and I'm so thankful to be a part of that and to have you guys just always uplifting us and staying united with us, even if you don't agree with everything we say. That's one of the most beautiful things about this whole movement is that people from all walks, I love hearing from former atheists and even those people who are still atheists, whatever it is, I love hearing the testimonies of how they are starting to see things about creation and figuring out why it is that the lies are so important to not just those that rule the world and gain the financial gains that they have. It's not about that. It's spiritual. That's why you're seeing organizations like YouTube lose billions of dollars. They don't care. It's not about money. It is 100% spiritual. Otherwise, they would turn a blind eye to all the truthing that's going on, and they would not care what people are watching because they would just be raking in money. But it's not about that. Censoring and hiding the truth is nothing new, and you guys are doing a great job of finding ways to get it out there while we can on these platforms. But I definitely want to tell you guys, stay tuned. Some great testimonies that I need to share. My brother has an awesome video he is working on. Probably going to be one of our best videos. He's actually getting really good at making videos. I told him that he's artistic, he should try, and he did our one of our last few videos called The Biblical Earth Model You Can't Unsee. And the video is one of those that you can share with any of your friends who are on the fence about looking into this. And it's definitely going to be helpful for your friends who are Christians, creationists, still believe in the globe, not trying to convert anyone to being a what they call flat earther. We are just creationists, guys. The shape of the earth, still unknown to us. We do know that a lot of curve is missing. We know that we're not moving. It's no big deal to find out the entire shape and exactly where it ends. We will see the answers to all of this really soon. So we all need to be ready. Keep that full armor on. Understand what that means as we walk out into this world where darts and daggers are going to be thrown at you. You need to be ready for that. The enemy's walking around to deceive you and destroy you. Know that. Keep that joy, unspeakable, that peace and love and light with you everywhere you go. Have trust that the Father's will for you is good. He's always willing. Death is the enemy. Don't believe the lie that it was His will for someone you love to die and all of that. Death is the enemy. It will be defeated, and we will all unite one last time. So thanks, guys. As I always say, you all are a beloved creation of the Most High. Take care of yourselves. Stay tuned for what's to come. God bless.